Welcome, everyone. Claudia is here. She graduated in 2023 from Syracuse. She, during her time, did a bunch of VFX and post-production stuff and started managing projects and then got into a lot of really cool um, programs. So a Warner Brothers coordinator program and now a Disney program. And then she's kind of like moving up within Disney now to other departments and other opportunities. So she is here to tell you how she got her foot in the door with Disney. And if you want to hear more about the Warner Brothers program, that is a video on our YouTube that she did last year. She's going to touch on it a little bit in this, and you can ask her questions, but this is more about all the different places you can start out in Disney and how to do that. So, welcome, Claudia.
Yay! Hi guys. So let me pull up the presentation for y'all. Dun. All right. Now I was gonna pull up the chat. So, hi guys. I did graduate in 2023, and I'll be talking about my experience with Disney ever since I have graduated. A little bit about me is that I did put in this video editing internship I did in summer of 2022 because I felt like it was a little relevant down the line to what I will be talking about for the actual Disney internship I did. But also shout out to Shayna because that internship was also something she had posted about, and I applied and got it. So it was an amazing experience. Got to learn a lot about women in animation. Um, and then from graduating, I applied to a lot of programs, as well as internships. And one of those was the Warner Brother VFX coordinating program, because while also with Shayna, I fell in love with VFX. And so I wanted to continue pursuing that kind of field. And then at the same time, while I was very interested in that as well, I already invested a lot into video editing, like at that kind of post-production world. So I also decided to take on the internship with Disney in Walt Disney World, Orlando, once I was offered that as well. And then currently right now, I'm a project administrator at the Disney Burbank lot office. I did 2 roles within 2025 with one team and then moving to another team halfway through the year. So we'll touch on that later down the line as well. But just a quick snapshot. Um, so how I started off in Disney has a lot of different programs for those who are interested for internships. There's the specific Disney College program, which is anywhere from like freshman of college to like a senior year of college. However, there is a separate one called Disney Internship, not Disney College program. It's also known as the Disney internship, is also known as professional internship. That one is only applicable to those who are their senior year or are 6 months after graduating from college. So there's like that time limit, and when you are applying to these places, make sure to read what type of program it is, as well as the college program that Disney does. It's usually minimum wage from what I remember. And the Disney professional internship, that's closer to it's a little bit higher than minimum wage, because they're expecting you to be ready for the real world, corporate world than just it could be more of a desk job as well, rather than the Disney College program where you get to be working in the parks. But also there are other programs that could still be desk, but most of my knowledge is a lot of college program kids work in the parks. There is the culinary program as well. I also don't know quite much about it, but I do know they are around if that's what you're interested in. And then the international program I wanted to shout out because during my time at Walt Disney World, yeah, cooking with the mouse, my time with Disney World, I got to room with some international students, and it was a great time. And also meeting other internationals is great too. So, oh, and also depending on the location, and the type of program, it can change too. For example, the international program, depending on which college you are at, they're only allowed to have you like for a couple months or even just for a summer. So also look into that, how long the duration of the internship for yours can be. So even within the internships, Disney has different branches. There is, I think this is the best way I can kind of bucket all of the different branches, where the focus of park and resorts, which is like Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and all the other global parks. But this also includes the cruise line and the Disney Adventures, which is, if you don't know, Disney helps set up your travel experiences with other people if you wish to do so. And then currently right now, I'm in the studio entertainment, which is more directly like theatrical, like films, music. I put in stage play because the studio people also work with like Broadway, but also if your school, like in high school, middle school, even in college, if you ever did like a Disney production, like a Disney related script or production, they do that as well. Mini network is news, sports, radio, and then like ESPN, and then the consumer products, interactive media, that's everything else like you see that we buy, and also like the Disney app or the Disney Plus, and all the games that Disney also produces together. So within all these fields, you will find internships in all these different segments, and it's also to each their own, but also a timing issue when they open, if they're able to open a spot. But these are some things to be aware of while you're applying, and you'll see these names a lot. So for me specifically, this was my timeline of how things went with the Disney internship as well as the Warner Brother program. I have kind of realized in my life, nothing goes very easily. There's always a little bit of chaos mixed involved with my time, and this is one of those examples clearly. I will say though, this kind of timeline of interviews is a bit fast. I've had my own experience, but as well as hearing from others, some had really fast interview processes, but others had much longer wait periods between after applying and before doing the interviews. So this is just only one instance. Back at September 6th, 2023, I did have this date down. That's when I applied for the specific internship I got into. Around September 11th, also shout out to Shayna. She posted about that there was a Warner Brother info session going on for this VFX coordinating program, and you had to be at the info session in order to even be able to apply for this program. So I went to that info session as well. And then I heard back around that time period from Disney that they would like to do an interview with me. And so then September 25th, I did a interview with the recruiter. During that time, I obviously applied to so many internships, and this recruiter was also in charge of another team's program or recruitment. So I was doing my interview for both positions, for a video production position, but also the one that I got into, which is the video and multimedia intern. That also is not that often that happens, but it is a possibility, so I wanted to shout that out as well. From there, things went one after another. Round 2 of Warner Brother interviews in October, beginning of October, and then round 2 of the Disney interviews with the team, now not without the recruiter. And then there was a round 3 for Warner Brothers. And then once you pass that, then you get to start the classes, which is immediately right afterwards as well. So, but while the class was starting, I also heard back from Disney about getting accepted and having to do a lot of paperwork. So while doing the classes for Warner Brother, I was doing paperwork and then finalized the days of January 8th to move to Florida. Because that was my program. And the Disney Orlando program has housing. The Disney California internship programs do not provide housing. So just to keep that in mind. And January 11th was my last class. So I actually had to take that over a virtual like Zoom call. And it was quite unfortunate because I kind of wanted to be there in person with everyone, but it was a choice I already made before it came to the last class. And plus, I knew it was a step forward, but I know other people will have to do like decipher yourself. What is a win? What is a loss? Or what is better for you to pursue? So that is what happened for me. Now there's a lot of acronyms, a lot of departments. It's a very huge company. So I'm sorry if it kind of seems like the same thing over and over again, but I do want to specify that the department, not department, the division of the company I was in was called Disney Experiences. And that is anything entailing to your experience with entertainment that isn't media. So once again, it's like the parks, resorts, cruise line, or maybe sometimes I think, actually no, consumer products was not involved. But underneath that the huge part of the company, I was in the organization called Wishes. So it's an acronym, there's no I. It stands for Worldwide Safety, Health, Engineering, and Sourcing. And within that acronym, I was in the section of safety. So my specific internship, my focus was creating safety communication content videos for the internal employees, as well as training videos for the engineers that work the attractions so they can handle like any emergency case scenarios, as well as just regular maintenance routines. So it was a very cool experience because I got to do both do more production, because while I was at Syracuse, I think while I had the learnings of the basic needs for production, I never really got involved because I felt more people were more ambitious about it, and I also was more interested in post-production. So I was glad I got this more production experience while utilizing my post-production, because after we filmed it, I was editing it or archiving all these trainings or other communication videos we did. I don't know what more. I want to stop here, see if there's any questions, because I kind of blew through a lot. Uh, so yeah.
So they pick you to see which part of wishes you'll be part of, like based on your application and interview, or do you choose?
So when I was applying, it did already specify what kind of job it would be, what kind of internship it would be, I should say. I just happened to also had applied to another internship with the same recruiter who was in charge of that. And that was for a different team. But so does that answer your question? Usually most of the internships have a specification where you'll be. Rarely there is one that is a very general expression of interest kind of jobs, but I'm not seeing a general interest kind of internship, if that helps.
There's also a
Uh,
question in the chat.
yes. I applied. Yes, I applied. I took the summer. So after I graduated in some May of 2023, I took a couple of months of the summer to recover because I was kind of burnt out. And then before the fall season was coming around, I was starting to apply again and kept applying throughout all of fall season. Um, I think if I remember my numbers correctly, I was very lucky. I think I had applied only with Disney for about 30 internships and I got one. Most people sometimes struggle even after 30 to even get one. They usually apply a lot more, but I think I don't like to say this because I know other people find this frustrating, but sometimes it's a bit of like the grunt work, but because you put so much time into it, the luck kicks in as well. At least that's how I like to view how my life has been going. So yeah. Were you local to all the internships I applied? No. Um, for example, I'm originally from California, so I did apply to the Disney California internships. However, I also saw that the Florida internships they offered did provide housing. The other areas of Disney, even though they had like maybe once in a while a remote internship, it was not something I was very invested in. So it really just depends. For me, housing, it was always a big thing, so that's why other internships did not interest me as much. That's how I narrowed it down. How many internships outside of Warner Bros. And Disney did you apply to? That I did not have that number off the top of my mind. I was only able to give that estimate to you guys about Disney specifically because there's a record of like on my account of how many applications, like I can see which applications I did for each one and what dates I applied to. So
But you did apply to other ones?
yes, I did apply to other ones as well through LinkedIn. Also just going to the specific company websites and going to their careers. It's just happened to be that time, that period, everything worked out with Disney. Nothing else really got my attention.
So, hi,
Hi.
Claudia. So once you were accepted, was there a class that you had to take? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
So that's for the Disney College program. If you're in the Disney College program, I think they do expect you to take a class. But for the professional internship that I was doing, because I already had graduated, I applied at the very cusp of where the 6 months was after graduating from college. I didn't have to take a class, but I do also know some people, even with the professional internship, they were doing their master's instead. Some people did still do classes, but not with the program itself.
Thanks.
No problem. Okie dokie. Okay, I'll continue on. So just a quick snapshot of photos of what my experience was besides working. I was there originally the internship was from January till June. But I was lucky enough to get offered an extension. So I got to stay till 2025 January. So it was a full year. So I made sure to get the most of my experience. Here's some of my team members. This was my roommates, but also the experiences. Like in Orlando, they had the circus Soleil there. So they had their own venue. I went on the cruise. I'm a very huge foodie, so it's very important to me to be at the dining experiences. And also I'm starting to like experience the joy of meet and greets as well with the characters. So I did a lot. So yeah, that's the quick snapshot. So what next after the internship? So while I was still doing the internship towards like September, October, like around the time period now, I knew that I needed to think about next steps because there's no way you can extend for more than a year in the internship. Usually have to, if you want to do another tip, if you already do a year with the Disney program, you do have to take like a semester off if you want to do it again, because the maximum continuous you can do is 1 year. So, but for me, because I already am graduated, I just barely hit the cusp of the Disney program. I cannot apply again because it's been past 6 months. So I knew that it's either full-time job, part-time job, whatever next I had to grab. And I was still applying to full-time roles for that were entry level, but I also knew I needed a backup. And a lot of people I met during my program, they all started out working in the parks. I felt like more people worked in the parks and then moved up into a more desk job role. And I kind of skipped this step. So I was very interested in maybe working part-time in the parks, just so I can still be in the Disney system to apply internally to jobs with Disney, and also do more easily like do meet and greets. If you're already a Disney member, a lot of people prefer that you're already working with Disney. And then as well as I just wanted to keep my foot in the door. I did have to decide whether I was going to stay in Orlando or come back to California. And since I always knew that I wanted to still work in the film industry, just coming back to California was the better option. However, I have a lot of friends that knew they loved the parks and that was going to be their life. So a lot of them stayed at Orlando as well. So I got a lot of I was able to get recommendations to find who the recruiters were for the parks. And it was through not only the recruiter from who hired me for the internship, but as well when I was applying to all these new jobs and places throughout the year during my program, I met other recruiters and other hiring managers, and they also pointed me to the direction I needed to go to. So I highly recommend keeping in touch with those people as well. But yeah, from there, I did the interviews with the Disney Parks people for recruitment, and I actually was offered the job to work part-time in the parks. And I was supposedly was going to be working both in Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge and Toontown. And I was signing up for training days, but around the same time, like I said, it was January of this year, the fires were happening. And unfortunately, that also meant it was harder for me to find housing for me to move down because I don't live in Anaheim. I live in Valencia currently. It's very far. So my plans went out the door a little bit. And also there were some personal reasons, like just being with family and other stuff that was happening at the time. So I was like, I don't think I can be away from home. So I had to turn down the Disney part-time job. But luckily at the same time, I was interviewing for this full-time role with as a project administrator with Disney Studios, which is a lot closer to home for me than Anaheim. So from there, my first job within Disney Studios was working in the DCVI localization. The specific part was subtitling. DCVI stands for Disney Character Voice International. And if you don't know what localization is, think about how most of our movies that we know come out in English, but we want to have other people around the world watch it. So then we try to have those movies translated so that people in the local areas understand and watch the English movie in maybe Korean or be able to read subtitles of an American movie. So that was what our focus was for that department. And I worked with vendors that handle the subtitling as well as our global teams to make sure that they got all the assets, the videos, and all the right timelines and deadlines. I also was supporting the associate project managers and project managers on other titles. So my main focus was helping with streaming. I did a lot of project management of stream titles such as Andor Season 2, Daredevil, Born Again, and I felt like there was one more, Odessa. So I think those were my big three. I feel like I'm forgetting another one, but oh, I also did Ironheart. By supporting the APM, they did more theatrical features, and I helped support Snow White. Not that much of Thunderbolt. I did help a lot more on Elio, but those were some nice opportunities as well. But yeah, any questions from at this point in timeline? No, okay, dokie. So now what I currently do, I'm in the planning and international post team. I'm actually under 2 leaders. The planning side helps create or fix whatever tracking program you use. So I know like Shayna is very huge on Excel sheets. And so from basically what I work in is a more complex, robust Excel sheet that has more data, but it's connected to all these other teams' systems of managing timelines, of deadlines, and when certain things are coming in. And I know the technical aspects of it. I can get behind it and fix things in the background or even create things for other people. This job really, some might say it can get a little tedious because there's a lot to keep track of, all that data, but there's also moments where I have to think outside the box because if something technical explodes, you have to figure out what's the next best thing to fix it. And I don't know, I feel like I'm really on my toes while I'm doing this job. You think it would be like easy, but it has not been. But another side of the team that I help out with is the international post. They're more supporting theatrical releases and distribution. So if you're thinking about how subtitling was to translate the languages so other people can watch it, this team makes sure that all that translation stuff can actually be approved to be shown in theaters worldwide. So there's like censorship involved, approvals regarding to that, the type of theaters, what theaters will take the movies in what sort of formats, whether that's like IMAX or Dolby Atmos. So that team manages that. So we work with vendors as well and other internal teams. Any questions?
Yeah, actually, that sounds really interesting. Could you go a little bit more into like the specific types of tasks that you have when it comes to like working with um, international distribution?
So I personally am, like I said, supporting more of the project managers. I've been more in charge of communicating with vendors in terms of letting the movie teams screen like in 4DX if they can test out their movie, if everything like the subtitle looks correct, the audio is syncing up, if the framing of the movie itself is correct as well, or there's color issues. So every movie has to go through, if it's going to be shown in that specific format in the theaters, has to do a test run in that theater with those same specifications. So I help organize those teams together and make sure that those get done in time. And if there's any issues, if they need another booking of the theater as well. Thank
I
you.
got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not the best with Excel. However, okay, I'm not the best with Excel. Is there any applications besides Excel and or is there any applications similar to Excel that you use to be able to track that everything within the project was accomplished? Like, did you use like a Monday.com or like anything like that? Or is it all provided by Disney that have their own program?
Bit of both. I say the Excel is the nitty-gritty of it. Like that, like I said, it's more technical. There are other Disney programs that the Excel sheet feeds into, and then everyone sees it in that way as well. But there's no way to really learn that unless you have the licensing for that kind of system. And I think it's very Disney specific as well. But then again, I don't have that much experience outside of Disney at the moment. So maybe other people do, but from what I can tell when I've been talking with others, I think it's a very Disney specific kind of tracking program. They do kind of use Airtable in some, but that's like for a very specific use, not for tracking per se. It's more of you have to be flexible to learn as you go, as many programs as possible, so many notes and so many trial and errors. But yeah, sorry. I said Excel specifically because I knew that's at least something you can really hone in on. That's also free. Okay, so here are some things that I wish someone told me before I got into this huge journey of, I guess, is it now a year and a half, 2 years? So applications, this is more thinking of Disney as well, but obviously curating your resume to the job itself and the internships. And I think the reason why I made this comment about not making it fancy, I think it's because I was surrounded by a lot of creatives that felt like maybe, especially if you're like a graphics designer, or if that's what you're interested like as like a visual person. I came across people giving me feedback like maybe add this or do this. And after all this time, I realized it's just the information is what matters most. So no need to make it fancy. And for those who don't know why I said put the passwords for your portfolios. So I'm sure other companies do this as well, but the reason why I can't really show you guys what I worked on in my internship as a editor is because it was all internal communication. So because it was no one from the public could really saw my work, I can't really share that to everyone. Only those within Disney can see like what kind of works I did. So I have a password for a specific portion of my portfolio. And that's why I also say when you're applying to put your password as many times as you can if you have something for that specific company. Disney-wise, there is an option to a specific box that says put your password in, but I also know there's an option after you submit your resume, a comment section, put your resume in there put your password in there as well. And at the very end, before you submit your application, there's a comment box again, and you can put your password there as well. And I also recommend putting the password in your resume as well if you really want to show it to them and if it's allowed to. I just think the more visibility you have, the higher chance you have, because I also have heard people say that because they couldn't find the password because the systems can be janky, sometimes they don't go further with you. So that's why I'm emphasizing that. And for another thing that helped me with maybe preparing for my interviews for the internship was I looked up what somebody else did, if they did the same internship. Sometimes you won't be able to find anything because it might be a new position or they just haven't really posted about it in their portfolios. But for me, I was fortunate enough the person right before me did post about what they did in their role. So I had a good insight about it. So then, sorry, I see some comments. What is a password for your resume exactly? If not, so not the password for your resume itself. I just think if you have a portfolio and you have it locked for specific reasons because you can't show your work to the public because of company like contract reasons, put your portfolio password in your resume so people can as they're looking at your resume, easily access it and easily be able to see all your content. No problem. And I put this as well, showcase your other interest. I felt like the reason why I got the internship with Disney, well, as much as I also had the technical skills of, they wanted someone more graphics heavy who knew like After Effects to put more graphics in their safety videos, like lower thirds. And also fancy transitions and title screens. Like they were like, oh, we're so excited for you to come because we want to like develop more in that sense for our videos. I think what stood out to me was my leader also told me that while going through my portfolio, they saw that I did this music video animation for a cover, and it was for an anime song, and and they also enjoy the same anime, and they also like the song as well, and that's why they were like, oh, I think we will get along because we had similar interest. So it was more so that it was a collab video because I used to do videos for YouTube as well. The person was covering a song from the anime, and then I was making the video for their cover, if that makes sense. But it was animated because they gave me the art that they wanted me to use, and using whatever assets they gave me, I made a whole lyric video for it. So another big thing, like I said, is the location, but you also have to think about transportation. While I was at Orlando, I was very fortunate that my location of my job was next to one of the Disney bus stops. So I didn't have a problem, but I knew some people had remote location, like more locations that weren't near the bus routes, and it would take them a really long time to get to work. So instead they would take Ubers. But if you don't bring a car, because I wasn't from Orlando, if you don't bring a car, how will you move around? And then are you willing to make that financial decision of using Ubers or making agreements with a lot of my friends and my roommates? I was fortunate that they were very kind to offer me rides at times. And so you have to take that in consideration. Yeah, any questions from here? Okay, if not, I will continue on. So the next part was for interviews. So I initially thought when I got the email from Disney that I got the internship that it was a scam because they used this. The email was from this Disney AI called Olivia. And Olivia was like, hey, Disney is interested to do an interview with you. And I was like, they don't have a profile picture. It looks really random. And so I had to Google it, Reddit it, whatever, do a lot of some research and realized it was real. And it was able to reply. So I specifically said, make sure to use a computer because the Olivia system is kind of finicky as well. It's not perfect. And I put it because some people get really excited when they get the email and they're on their phones because it's the most convenient. And then you try to apply the time for your interview with the recruiter and you might mess up. So true, it can wait. You can do it on your computer is what I'm just trying to point out as well. Maybe check your spam. I don't think it has ever gone through spam. Olivia has gone through spam. Sounds so weird, but but it also is good to know that maybe your system might ping it as spam because I sure thought it was spam. Once you confirm with Olivia what time slot you're gonna get, they will send you an email of here's the link. But I also recommend keeping the initial email link as well. And they provide you the Zoom link or phone number or the person's name, and they'll contact you or be here on this time for the video call. And the bottom part here is possible stages of interviews you can go through. For my interview process, it was only 2 interviews, which was the recruiter. And then the second interview was both with the team member and the hiring manager, who would be my leader. But I also know while being here, I've gone into the recruiter, a team member, the team member's leader, or the hiring manager, and then even the boss of the hiring manager, so your director. So it could be a very lengthy process. It could be very short, but just to keep in mind, there's many stages. Any questions from here?
What advice would you give for the AI interviews? Because whenever I know when I first saw one for like a big company, I got like all spooked, and then I kept like over running my words, and I was like, oh God, it's gonna read that, isn't it?
I think I actually didn't do an interview with Olivia. Olivia is just helping the recruiter set up time with the recruiter,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
okay. Okay, so
Um,
Disney doesn't use AI like to have the interview. It just sets up the
no,
interview.
it sets up the interview, so it just throws you off because you expect a specific email from the recruiter, but it's actually Olivia reaches out first, and then from then on, maybe Olivia is utilized for other interviews as well, but I haven't noticed that. I believe it's usually like the initial one would be before the recruiter. And I don't think I see Olivia after that. That sounds so weird,
Shout out
but
Olivia.
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 But yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is it just seems like they're trying to be a little smarter in how they schedule things. Okay, so last thing, once you're there at the internship or with Disney, take advantage of every opportunity. A lot of these people, sorry, I should have did the bullet points differently. The company has a employee roster, so you can see where people are in like the specific teams, the hierarchy, as well as their emails. And so I've cold emailed a bunch of people, recruiters, or even just people in positions that I was very curious about and had no idea what they do. And sometimes I did those meet and greets or coffee meets at their office because they work at some amazing locations. Of course, you should get permission if you're in the internship to be able to go like in person for these meet and greets, but I personally have enjoyed like being able to see them in their element, see, because sometimes in their office they can point out things that they received throughout their years working at Disney. Um, I also would recommend there are volunteer events Disney does and to attend there because most of the time people who are going to those events are also from Disney. But other people who are volunteers are from different parts of Disney that you never knew existed as well. More fun things now that we're doing less of the nitty and gritty, is that you get discounts on the holiday events in the parks. Why not take advantage of that? It's very specific days, but take advantage of that as well. Like, because I feel like if you don't understand why you're working so hard or why you're trying to stay in the company as much, you kind of lose the spark. And I feel like the next best thing is always just finding the reason. And this is one of those moments where like it's very special. Like you can't get an experience like this anywhere else. A big thing is yes, they do call them volunteers with the Mickey. They really love their puns and name conventions, acronyms. But yes, the Disney volunteering thing is called volunteers. I'm very big about giving back to the people I love. So I try to bring my family to the parks with with the passes I have that I earned through my hours of work, and also bring friends, trying to get them with my discounts and being with them as well. And also resorts and cruises. Like I said, I did go on a cruise. It was a weekend one. It was very short, but it was lovely. And the park specials. So only if you work at the parks do you get to enter in a raffle to see the backstage of certain attractions. And those decisions are based on the event committee that hosts these things called Magic Backstage. But there's a lot of cool opportunities that you should be keeping your eye out. So a couple of things that Shana wanted me to talk about. She's like, why do you think you kept getting picked, or what made you stand out? And here are a couple points of what maybe was what got me, because I could ask, but sometimes people are not fully honest, or as well as just more self-reflection. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat. But yes, so obviously in terms of your career or the work that you're doing, obviously you should do what is asked of you, the work that they are requesting you to do, whatever comes in. But what if you can take the next step to it? Like, what can you be creative about just not being in the box that they like help set you up in? And an example of that would be in my internship, I helped out with making the assets naming conventions as well as our equipment having proper labeling, and also how to say it, reserving the equipment, because we were sharing our equipment with our sister team, the communications team, with the video team, because we both were posting like needed the cameras, and it just got chaotic because then we lose where the SD cards, which camera, which card had all the files. So in that sense, I feel like you can step up and contribute to your team for the better. And then what can you do outside of work? So before I had gone the internship, obviously outside of school and work, I did the music video I mentioned earlier. That was a personal project, a summer project where I devoted just the whole like months and hours of trying to do training videos by myself, like watching YouTube and putting the things together, like patching it. And it worked out. So this could also include like meeting people that are relevant to you outside of work. It would be easier to meet them during work hours, but if you can't meet them outside of work, if you want to keep networking at a different level. The people. Disney is very people heavy, people oriented. I will say I have seen some people who are more introverted do struggle a little bit, because a lot of people are very extroverted. They want to keep talking. They want to be here. They have so many questions about next things, about what events. And I want you to take advantage of that. I personally classify myself as an introvert, but I think especially because of the internship, I got forced to be more extroverted. So I'm extroverted to other people in social settings, introverted by myself. But the people who are really important is you obviously need a community. So your peers during the internship or during your full-time work. I was able to experience so much with like the parks and the new attractions with my peers. And sometimes because they work in different areas, gave us something special that only they can give from their workplace as well. So I feel like the people I met, I still talk to right now, even a year later, and I hope to talk to them years more. My team, they're the ones who were very supportive of me trying to find the next steps, but I also know sometimes people don't like being with their teams, but I think you still have to be very careful around that as well, because especially if you're going to try to stay in Disney, you'll probably see them later down the line, years to come. So your team members are also important to you, but also assess for yourself. Don't force yourself to be in a team that you don't enjoy. Find the next best thing, while also learning as much as you can and giving back to the community. And then networking. Like I said, I did so many cold emails and also asking other people to recommend me to people to meet as well. And you just never know who you'll find, who you'll really connect with. Some of these networkings I've done, was able to go outside of just that one meet and greet. Other times it is just straight business almost, but it is what you make of it. And then lastly, I think the grit of it, I think I kept saying it. I just really like the word as well. I asked a lot of questions. Another creative thing I did, I forgot to mention this, during my internship, I specifically didn't have to do like a final program presentation or project, but I knew other interns had to do something like that in front of their teams. But even though I didn't have to do it, I wanted to do it. And I offered to be like, hey, if this is a video idea, can we do this? Or can we do this? Is this the same good enough parameters for us to publish this for other cast members to see? I was kept asking questions like, why can't I do this? What more can I do? It is also, you have to be aware of your limits. You can't just say yes to everything. I know I seems like I definitely have said yes to a lot of things, but be aware of how much you can handle and stepping up to the situations. For example, today, something unexpected in work happened where the program wasn't fully inputting all the data we needed. And they needed someone to do it manually. Step up in that situation to, if you know how to do it, to do that work so other people don't have to worry about it. And I think that goes a long way because that's you're supporting the team. So if you see something wrong and you feel like you can contribute, you can ask first. Maybe sometimes they're like, oh no, this work is like not within your qualifications, but always ask, hey, can I take on this? And I think I can handle it, or I think I can develop it more. And being flexible. I put this here because, as you can see, a lot of things unexpected can be thrown at you at different times. Whether the meet and greet falls through because that person had an unexpected meeting or cancellation, try not to take that to heart and just set up the next one. If somebody else does not reply, be flexible, just go on to the next one as well. And saying in the moment of other people. Like, for example, like I said, I'm an introvert. I don't want to talk to people during my lunch. I would like to be in my car and eating my lunch by myself and recuperating for the days to come and the meetings that I'd be having. But I also know that it's very important to connect with the team members. So choose days where I'm like, I will be sitting down in the break room with everyone around me and eating my lunch there. So pick and choose the battles. But yeah, that is my presentation. Thank you so much. I don't know how long did, oh, exactly almost an hour. Thank you, thank you. If any questions, the floor is open now.
Hi, Claudia. I'm Jen. How are you?
Doing good.
Thank you so much for this. Just a question out of curiosity. Are you able to like shadow people above you or like within your department that like is kind of like potentially different from what you do?
So in the internship, depending on your leader, yes, I was able to actually shadow for a couple of things. One of them was, I think it was a special video. This is publicly, so I can talk about this. It was a special video promoting the Tower of Terror. I was able to shadow like the video production of that and how they like set up the cameras and filming inside Tower of Terror, like the ride itself for media companies and advertisements. So yes, it's possible, but obviously you have to be communicative to your team leaders as well as the people who are trying to help set you up for the shadowing opportunities as well.
Cool. Thanks.
No problem.
Anyone else? If not, she has a couple things. You still want to do a couple things after?
Oh, like what my future aspirations are?
No, the website and stuff.
Oh, I could. Well, I didn't want, like I said, I practiced yesterday and I realized I took the full hour, so I didn't add more stuff to my slides. But there are things that I could show you. So for specifically how I found out about the Disney internship, I signed up specifically in the Disney program, not Disney program, in the Disney careers site. You can filter through what kind of jobs you're specifically looking for. So I was thinking maybe I can go over that if people haven't done that before, but if you already have, that's fine as well. But that's why I put that towards the end outside of the presentations because some might have already done it and some haven't. So
Does anyone have any questions before she does that?
I have one super quick question, if that's
Yeah.
okay. You mentioned the Disney career site and a few other ways you applied. Did you use any other, I don't know, just like connections or websites to apply to or find these applications?
Yeah, so I was very big, like I said, on doing the emails from specific job, like company locations, as well as uh, LinkedIn as well. I didn't do Indeed because I think personally I was like, I'm not sure if I wanted to use Indeed at the moment, but if I was at a certain point, maybe I would have. But LinkedIn was a huge where I did a lot of different filters for different emails. I did very video or just production or internships. I got so many emails to the point that even after I got the internship, I had to fight my emails to turn them off because I signed up to so much. But just whatever place offers it, I did my best to find a more like focused area.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording so that she can do some other stuff. Thank you, Claudia. This was amazing.
Yay! I'm glad. I hope you guys liked it. I hope it's helpful. It was a lot. I felt like I was trying to compile all of this knowledge and I also was like, this is so much. I hope it doesn't blow people's brains, but